For the past 2+ years, I've put my blood, sweat, tears, heart, passion into offering alignment sessions. Alignment sessions are my one-on-one intuitive offering where I'm combining part energy reading, part energy healing, where I'm looking at somebody's mind, body, spirit, their aura, their energy centers, talking to their spiritual team, their benevolent ancestors, if they would come up, their highest selves, to look at their mindsets, their actions, their beliefs, whatever is keeping them out of alignment with their absolute best life, and getting guidance for what they need to do, the opportunities, the tests, and the things that are going to come up on their journey as they try to align with their absolute best life. It's been an absolute honor. I have served hundreds of people. I have learned so much about the human body, about our aura, about us as spirits living this human experience. But after 2+ years of, again, giving this my all, I've been guided to put it on the shelf. Now, to my past clients and anybody who wanted to make an appointment with me and hasn't been able to because they went so quickly, I know we'll get into the reasons why I'm making this decision later on, but I didn't want to leave you all hanging. So in this video, we're going to get into what you need to look for and look out for before getting a spiritual reading. Now, if you're new to my channel or new to me, hello and welcome. My name is Melanie Santos. I'm a holistic wellness practitioner, and on this channel and throughout my social media, what we get into is mind, body, spirit wellness, into us being spirits living this human experience and everything that is encompassed in that. Now, as mentioned, this video is going to talk about what to look out for, what to be aware of before getting a spiritual reading. First, what is a reading, right? I think a lot of people have this misconception, especially as we are in the Aquarian age and it's becoming more normal to explore our spirituality. I think a lot of people are falling out of practicing just one religion and becoming more comfortable with exploring God in many other ways, which I think is gorgeous, and really the basis of my work is remembering who we are and remembering how we are really human reflections of the divine. So when we're talking about a reading, it's basically you sitting down with someone like myself. I am mostly clairvoyance and claircognizance. There are many clear senses, and clear senses are basically the avenues through which someone can communicate with the other side or with the divine. And you're allowing them access into your energy, into your aura, into your energetic field so that they can access information that we cannot see in the 3D world with our eyes. Now, I don't know if I need to say this or not, but I'm going to start off with this. There is nothing wrong with wanting to or getting a spiritual reading. Now, getting readings is not something that anybody needs to do, but if you're continuously feeling the pull to get one and you're ignoring it, you might want to listen to it, because our spiritual teams, our benevolent ancestors, our spirit guides, angels are very, very real. And when we start to feel the twinge, that intuitive twinge, that like, I kind of feel like I need to do this thing or see this person or dive into this modality, listen to it, because there's probably really important information for you there. The other side, the spirit realm, is very, very real. It's all around us. And when we're not in tap with it and not in tap with our third eye, not in tap with our crown, and our aura is not strong enough, or whatever the case may be, we're not getting that communication from the other side. We're not getting information that's probably really pertinent to something that we may be dealing with, or something, or a question that we may be asking. So that's when listening to the call to get a reading with somebody might be a good idea. Now, number one thing to look out for is please beware of scammers. Being a spiritual practitioner on social media, I know this very, very well, especially being somebody who's not verified. I don't have the little blue check. I get a lot of scammers. I get a lot of people pretending to be me and offering people readings on the internet. That is sign number one. Somebody who is a spiritual practitioner, who does this for a living, who offers spiritual readings, is never going to reach out to you. Let me say that again. A spiritual practitioner is never going to reach out to you. They're never going to hop in your DMs and be like, "Grand Rising, beloved. I've been thinking of you, and so is telling me that I need to offer you a reading, da 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 da." Never, ever, ever, ever. And if you are a practitioner who's doing this, please stop. Please stop. Maybe I can do another video about best practices because I think I've learned a lot over the years. But please, please use your judgments. Look at the page. Usually this is done a lot on Instagram. People are basically taking and copying and pasting our photos and our videos. I've had people screen record my stories and post them as stories, and people were actually believing they were me. Absolutely insane. There's a lot of dedication, I guess, that goes into this. And they're going into your DMs and they're saying, you know, I'll offer you this reading. I'm thinking about you. I'm called to your energy, yada, yada, yada. I'll offer you a reading for $50 or $40, which is tempting, right? Because that's really inexpensive compared to the prices that some readings are, including my own. And some people have fallen for it. Always look at the information in the header of an Instagram page. They've usually like tampered with our name or with our information. Our email links are usually missing a letter. Please be smart. Please, please be smart. I don't want you to fall for any of the Instagram or any of the social media scammers that are out there. While we're on the topic, also be aware of anybody asking for money and offering you a text reading. Just, again, please be smart. Again, if you're a practitioner that's doing something like this, I don't really agree with it. There's better ways to go about this. There are ethical ways to send a reading, or there are ways. There are ways for practitioners. There are ways for people who are seeking readings. Please just be aware of this. Scammers are very, very real. Number two, be aware that there are so many different types of readings, and there are also so many different types of readers. And I think because of that, no one reading is better than the other. No one type of divination is better than the other. There's energy readings like the ones that I do. There are tarot readings. There are oracle readings. People that read runes. People that read tazas, teacups. People that speak to the dead, psychic mediums. Like, there are so many different types of ways to get the information that you're seeking. Know that not, one way is not better or worse than the other one. I think, in my personal opinion, a true psychic, somebody who's been called to do this work, can really use anything as a divination tool. Like, a true psychic, somebody can use like bottle caps as a divination tool. And what I mean by divination is, getting in touch with the divine to connect with information. Fun fact, I used to, in elementary school, before I knew what I could do, before I knew who I was, I used to use a deck of playing cards and use the aces as a way to tell people's future at lunchtime. Again, you can use anything as a divination tool. So don't let a type of reading deter you from getting a reading with that person if you're called to. If you're more called to tarot, get a tarot reading. But mix it up, get an energy reading. If you want to connect with somebody who's on the other side, you specifically need to see a psychic medium. That's also very important. So let's make that number 3. A psychic is not always a psychic medium. A psychic medium is a psychic, but they're not one and the same. A psychic is somebody who is intuitive, who can intuit information from the other dimensions. A psychic medium is somebody who can specifically speak to people who have died and have crossed over to the other side. I can't tell you how many times somebody booked the reading and gave me their questions and told me why they wanted to get the reading, and at the end they would be like, also, can you also get in touch with like my aunt Matilda who died 2 years ago? And I'm like, what? This is not what I'm here for. While I can speak to souls who have crossed over, it's not this is not what this reading is for. And so be really careful. Read people's descriptions. If you're looking to get a spiritual reading, look at what the reading is for. There are many different types of readings, again, for many different things. There are people who do readings, general energy readings like myself. There are people who do specific readings for health and wellness. Those are called medical intuitives. There are people who do specific readings for love. There are people who do readings for pets that have crossed over. Pay attention to the reading that you're booking. Pay attention to what type of psychic that person is, what type of information they're going to be looking for, the types of questions that you're allowed to ask, the amount of questions that you're allowed to ask. Some people, you pay a certain amount of money for one question and you pay another amount of money if you want to spend an hour with them. Pay attention to the details because, again, this is still somebody's work. This is still somebody's bread and butter. You don't want to go and waste somebody's time, but you also don't want to waste your own time. You want to get the questions that you have answered. Now let's jump into the next one because I think it is especially important and something that I never see anybody talking about. Never, ever, 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 ever. And I think it is so important, and that is this. Everybody who does readings, every psychic, every clairvoyant, every person who uses their clairsenses to offer spiritual readings reads through their perspective. They receive and deliver information from their perspectives, from their beliefs. You know, everybody has a specific container, everybody has an ego, everybody has a heart. And so the information that they're going to perceive and deliver is based upon that, is based upon who they are, their experiences, their mindset, even like their living situation. They're going to see it a certain way and they're going to deliver it a certain way. Everybody has their own style. And so that's really important when you're looking to book a spiritual reading. This goes along the lines of like, read the details, make sure you become acquainted with the specific offering that this person is offering so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Also, do a little bit of like digging on that person. Not digging, I don't mean like go full social media FBI on somebody, but like look at their social media. Look at the things that they're posting. What kinds of views are they, showing that they have? What kinds of mindsets are they talking about? What kinds of beliefs do they have? What do they believe in spiritually? Make sure that it aligns with you. Now, I've had, again, amazing clients, and I've had like literally like less than a handful of experiences that have been like cringe. But that very, very few have happened because of this. Because a client was coming to a session, I was giving them this reading, they left super empowered and super just like brimming from the experience, and they were referring me to their friends and family. And so their friends and family were booking a session with me based on this amazing testimonial that they were getting from their friend, and not looking into me, not looking into my social media, my website, who I am, what kinds of beliefs I have or express, the things that I was looking at in the reading, and the type of or the style of my reading. And so again, less than a handful, I want to say like maybe two or three times, I've sat in front of somebody who was asking questions that like I don't generally care about, was looking for information that like I don't believe is important. And so I think it's really important for you to look at somebody, look at their social media. Again, we live in the age of social media. We live in the Aquarian age where everything is available to us. If you don't really mess with somebody on socials, why are you going to sit in front of them and have them take a peek at your soul and ask them these very deep questions and expect insight that's going to match up with you if they don't match up with you? I'll give you an example so that this makes sense. When I'm doing a reading, I am mostly looking for opportunities. I'm looking at the general scope of somebody's energy. I'm looking at their aura. I'm looking at the actions that they're taking and the actions that they're not taking in order for them to be in best alignment with their journey, in order for them to be in best alignment with like their absolute highest and greatest good, their most best life, in order to be in alignment with their highest self. I'm looking at past life situations or past life patterns, karma, that may be reflected in their current life right now. I'm looking at the future, but I'm not looking at one definitive future because the future is very subjective. And we're going to get into that next because I think that's really important and something that not a lot of people talk about either. When I'm looking into the future, I'm looking at different possible paths depending on different actions because the future is subjective. I would get into a reading with, again, these 2 or 3 people who I've had we didn't really match up because they weren't looking into me before they booked the session. And they would ask me, well, am I going to get this job? Or am I going to get married? Or am I going to do this? And I'm like, sure, this is one path. If you do X, Y, and Z, sure, you'll get married. Sure, you'll get the job. Sure, you'll get this. But it depends on these things. It also might not happen if you do these things. And people would leave like, what kind of decision am I going to make? And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, people just don't know that the future is subjective. The future is like we still have free will. And I think that's amazing. I think it's crazy for us to expect to sit in front of somebody and them to tell us our entire life, because then that would mean we didn't have free will. Like, don't we want that? Don't you want to be able to make decisions that are that feel comfortable to you, that feel best to you. So again, I would sit in front of these people and they would expect for me to like roll out this scroll of like, this is what you need to do for the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years in order for you to have your best life. And then they would leave disappointed because I'm instead offering different choices. I'm offering them this portfolio of opportunities and uncomfortable opportunities, great opportunities, gifts that they're going to receive, ways that they can tune into their spiritual team, ways that they can tune into their own intuition in order to make the best decisions for themselves, in order to really align with their ease, with their joy, with their abundance. No, people want the easy way. So please know, it's important to look at the person, look at their style, look at the questions that they're going to be asking, look at the questions that you're allowed to ask. Know that that's all reflected or comes through their container. I read from a love-based scope. I read from a scope of opportunity and free will because of how I grew up, because of the fact that I left the Catholic Church and I have a broader scope of spirituality now. I like to look at free will because it's something that I didn't come from prior. So like, just know that these things are super, super important to you getting, number one, an accurate reading for yourself, and number two, getting a reading that you actually can receive. Now, because I snuck this in there, this next one, I'm going to repeat it because it's very important. Future telling is so real, but know that the future is subjective. I'm going to say it like this. I wouldn't trust somebody to tell me, well, this is exactly what your future is going to look like. How do you know? How do you know what decision I'm going to make tomorrow? How do you know that my future is going to look like X, Y, and Z if I decide to change my mind tonight? Know that the future is subjective. Always ask for, and if somebody's offering, if you're in the middle of a spiritual reading and somebody's offering you just one path, one scope, one outlook to look forward to, ask them, what are the different avenues for me to get there? Because maybe it's a beautiful future that they're seeing. That's possible. I'm constantly seeing somebody's highest life, highest possible existence, but I always offer them different ways for them to get there. There's the short and kind of hard road, the one where we make all the difficult decisions, the one where we're really like entrenched in our healing and really about it. And then there's the long road where we're kind of just like veering off and we're taking the scenic route and we're maybe doing things that we're not really, not that we're not supposed to do, but they're not best for us. So I'm always giving people different avenues through which they can get to the end result. If you're in a reading where somebody's only offering you one thing, one way, one view, ask, are there any other ways for me to get there? What are the different avenues? What are the gifts and opportunities that I'm getting along the way? What are things that I need to look out for? What are conversations that I need to prepare myself for in order for me to get there? Ask all the questions. That jumps me into the next one. I'm sort of like veering off my list and just like things are popping up, which is great. Makes me so excited. But ask all the freaking questions. If you have the option between paying a little bit for a one question reading and a little bit more for an hour-long session with somebody, if you can afford it and you have the capability to do that, get the longer reading. Ask all the questions. It's better to get one good, solid session with somebody where you're going to get all the information, where you're going to be able to ask all the questions of your spiritual team in that session, then get multiple readings throughout the year. Personally, I think that's better. However, if you have a burning question that you need guidance on right away, that's where those one question readings really, really come into play. They're really, really helpful for that. Next, do you have to see the same person every time? No. Now, if you have like found your person, if you have gotten a spiritual reading with somebody and you loved it, their style meshes with you and it resonated and the information was true and you guys just gel, it's kind of like, you know, finding your manicurist or finding your masseuse or finding your doctor, your hairdresser. If it gels, you keep going to them. However, if you go to somebody and let's say the reading was good, but you didn't really like their delivery, maybe they disrespected you, maybe they said something that didn't land well with you, you are not obliged to see that person ever again. Please know that. Have some self-worth, have some self-love, have some self-respect. There's no reason why you need to be receiving information in a super hard and rough way just because somebody is good. Absolutely not. Know that because somebody is dealing with your energy and dealing with your aura, It doesn't work if you're doing that. That's like continuing to see a masseuse who's super rough and leaves you with bruises, but because they take all your knots out, you continue to see them. No, you deserve a reading that is delivered with care and affection. So know when to stop seeing somebody and know when to continue to book. Which leads me into the next point, very important. A good reading will give you information that you need to hear and not just information that you want to hear. This was one of the lines in the description of my offering because I think it's really important for people to know this. I think that there's a misconception that people can or should get readings to receive validation only. And while it is helpful to go and see somebody and for them to say something that is happening in your life, that you made a good decision, that you're on the right path, sometimes you're not on the right path. A good reading will give you information that you need to hear, not that you just want to hear. And also a good reading will give you this information that you need to hear in a way that isn't disrespectful, in a way that isn't degrading, in a way that doesn't leave you drained, in a way that doesn't leave you sobbing, crying because you feel like crap after it. Now, don't get me wrong, there can and will be emotions that will come up, especially if you're asking difficult questions, especially if you're looking for guidance that has to do with a really difficult decision. My alignment sessions were a mix of an energy reading and an energy healing. So we're opening up these portals, we're opening you up and things are being revealed. We're looking at subconscious thoughts. We're looking at things that you may not even know were there. We're looking at your childhood traumas, things that are coming up naturally. So naturally, you're going to feel, you're going to emote, things are going to come out, you're going to cry, you're going to want to scream, you're going to want to shake. That's normal. But getting a reading with somebody and leaving and feeling gross and feeling wrong and feeling like you've been stepped on, no, absolutely not. Next, whether your reader, your psychic, your practitioner asks you or not, have at least 1 to 3 to 5 max questions ready for your reading. Now, this is where it's important to look at the type of reading that you're getting and the person that you're getting it with. Because somebody who's coming to get an alignment session with me, it may be totally cool for them to show up with no questions because we're going to look at their energy centers anyway to get a scope of where they are in their alignment, where they are in their journey, versus somebody getting a reading with somebody else where they need questions because they're just receiving based on the questions that you have. So again, look at the information that you're being asked for, whether you can show up with no questions or you should. And if you should show up with questions, make sure that you sit with them beforehand. Make sure that if the person is telling you 3 to 5 questions max, don't show up with 15 to 20. It has happened to me in the past where like I say 1 to 5 questions absolute max and somebody has written me a dissertation. Don't waste these people's time. Don't waste your own time. Make sure that you have 1 to 3 questions, 5 absolute max, I think, in my opinion. But make sure you sit with them beforehand. Make sure that you're comfortable with them. Make sure that you're comfortable with receiving any answer that comes up when you ask them as well, and have them prepared for your session. And lastly, know that there are ways that you can prepare before a spiritual reading that might make it better for you. So let's say you found your practitioner. You're aligned with them. You're aligned with like the way that they speak, their delivery, the content that they're maybe posting on social media or on their website. You're aligned with the type of reading that they're offering. You've got your questions ready. You're ready to go. And it's the day of the reading. What do? Prepare your mind, your body, and your spirit. Body-wise, make sure you eat something good and filling. You don't want your stomach to be rumbling throughout this reading because it's going to be one, distracting for you. And depending on the type of clear senses that your psychic has, they might be able to feel that. In preparing your body, you might even want to eat well the day before because again, depending on the clear senses that the person has, if they're clairsentient, then they're probably feeling the way that your body feels even before the reading, going into it. If you can get a meditation in beforehand, it's a great idea. It's a way for you to streamline your thoughts, to also open yourself up to receiving whatever it is that you're going to receive during the reading. And on that note, prepare your spirit. Again, you can do it through a meditation, but you can also just do it right before. Sit down with yourself, close your eyes, and just say, Spirit, open me up to receiving whatever it is that I need to receive during the session. thank you for the opportunity to sit with this person with X, Y, and Z to get the information that I know that you're probably been trying to offer me that I can't get on my own, and may it carry me through. Now, spiritual practitioners are super gifted and they'll be able to see things that you didn't even know were there, but there are a lot of people who like subconsciously hide stuff, and it's super important for you to open up and allow somebody to see whatever it is that they need to see in order for you to get the best possible reading. It's likely that our ego and our fear might crowd or hide information from somebody because you're scared. You're scared again of going into this and receiving a piece of information that you didn't know you were going to receive. But it's often in the darkness of our spirits, of our minds, of our bodies that we receive the information that leads us on the path to most light. I don't mean to be poetic, but it's true. Now that is it for my tips and things to be aware of before getting a spiritual reading. I did say that I was going to share my reasons for why I was stopping readings, so I'll get into that now. Very briefly, I gave them my all. I truly, truly, truly gave these alignment sessions and these readings my all. In order for me to be a clear channel to deliver these readings to the best of my ability, to deliver these readings, to deliver the information and the energy in these energy healings in its purest form, there were a lot of foods that I wasn't eating. I wasn't eating meat, I wasn't eating dairy, I cut back on alcohol a lot, which is all good for you, right? But it came to a point of like, hey, yes, I'm doing all this spiritual work and I'm serving in this super, super special way. And while I'm super honored, I'm also like holding myself back from having a full human experience. Like, I want to have a glass of wine on a Wednesday night and not have to worry about, oh my God, I can't do this because I have a client in the morning. Or I want to be able to like have a burger from time to time, like, and not have to worry about like, oh, I can't eat this meat or I can't have this chicken or whatever. Because of the energy of this meal, because this was once a living thing, and if I eat this, I'm going to be taking this in. All real things. I talk all about that in my 40-day Whole Low 40 journey, where I went vegan for 40 days and talked a lot about the implications of that and the impact that it had on my mind, body, and spirit. You can watch that. I'll link it here so you can watch it. But I just felt really restricted, and to be honest with you, I was kind of over it. I was ready to be free. It was also just really exhausting. I was, again, giving it my absolute all. I was jumping from like dropping my daughter off at school in the 3rd dimension, and an hour later, I was in the 6th dimension and talking to so-and-so's auntie who had passed a year before that, and then coming back into the 3rd dimension and like picking her up from school, making dinner, and doing homework. Like, it's a lot for me in my life and how my lifestyle is right now. And while somebody who's watching this who is a spiritual practitioner may be able to do that, it just wasn't sustainable for me, isn't sustainable for me right now. And I want to be able to open myself up to continuing to receive information and disseminate it in ways that feed the masses versus doing a one-on-one offering. I think that was also a reason why I'm deciding to shelve this offering now. I keep saying shelve because I'm not like never gonna do a reading ever again. I'm looking forward to different ways that I can offer this. I've been toying with the idea of maybe I have a live alignment session offering where, you know, I do a session on YouTube where people can watch it. I'm really into using my abilities, my clear senses, and my abilities to communicate with the spirit realm, with the subtle realms, to really, again, educate the masses. I've been doing this one-on-one work, and while it's been amazing and I've been able to really deeply impact different people, imagine me being able to deliver that information in front of a screen to thousands and thousands, maybe millions of people at a time. It's just, I'm really excited about where this next chapter is going to take me. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you found it useful, if you learned something, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to stick around, come back anytime. We're going to be posting more videos here about mind, body, spirit wellness, about us living as souls, living this human experience and everything that comes in between it. And I'm super, super excited about that. So make sure that you click subscribe and click the little bell icon so that your YouTube app can notify you whenever I post a new video. If you don't already follow me on social media, please do. My website is melaniesantos.co, and I will see you in the next video.